3,000 sheep. So yeah, I may just sell the males that we get this year, and then am I right? Yeah, we'll be making 500 sheep this year and probably 500 sheep next year, and that'll be the limit in the 2 years. So long as I've got vacancies for 500 sheep at the end of spring, that's enough for the following year, and then the year after that we're going to be selling 250 sheep every year. 750 sheep every year. Which will be fun, because I can transport all about a dozen. And the best time to sell sheep is the first day of late spring. That's gonna be a fun thing to. Okay, I think that's all 3,000 litres that was in the thing. Nope. That's the last crate of the ready supply, so we'll have to tip next time we're there. Last year I did this stacking with the lintner. I do believe that Mr. Class Telehandler here is a lot easier to do this job with. We definitely still have more than enough fuel. Let's tip some more. Oops, wrong way. Oh. Oops, get in here and turn that back on. Turn that back on. Yay. Okay. And then back to the stacking. And yeah, I would not recommend crating up sugar beets to sell. Just stick them in the back of a tipper and do it that way, because obviously these crates are 1,000 litres. And yeah, how many can you stack on a flatbed trailer, which is effectively what you'd be looking at doing. And quite frankly, the time it takes to fill the crate and then transport it on a flatbed, or stack it on a flatbed and then transport it on a flatbed, it's really not worth it. You're probably much better using a tipper or a rolling bed like we have to ship them in bulk. The only problem is without an all-crop extender on your silo or a specific sugar beet potato silo, you are going to have to tip them on the floor, and it's not very efficient, as you will see in other episodes where we actually did the sugar beet harvest for the first time and created 1.5 million litres of sugar beets, and we stored them back where we're crating these up, and quite frankly it's a pain to store that many in a big giant pile. Yeah, tipping them, then shoveling them up. I think I ended up just getting some belts to load trailers with, because shoveling up 1.5 million litres of sugar beets in 1,500 litre buckets was not a prospect I was particularly relishing. But the crates are a more efficient storage method than just dumping on the ground. So if you're saving sugar beets for feed and you're not using a silo that can hold them, this is as good a method as any. And I forgot to turn the forks back on. Good job. There we go. Now the crate maker is upset because I moved the pallet, but it's still in the way. There we go. So I think for the most part, most of our learning about clover is done for now. I'm assuming alfalfa, horse, grass are very similar. Field grass, I believe you harvest with a main combine harvester rather than mowers, and also the miscanthus I've not really looked into in any great depth. But I won't be doing any. Whoops, why are you falling off? Okay, let's go and round the wall. Yeah, I'm not really too worried about planting fields of other grass types, since they're all part of the same mod, the Maize Plus extension. I'm going to assume that for the most part they all work very much the same way. There we go. Oop. It's going to upset someone. Oh. Oh, all sorts of problems. There we go. It's a little bit close to that wall. But, I think the advantage with the telehandlers, because the wheels are at each corner, and things like the JCB and the Lindner, they're not quite at the corners. You do get a much better or a much more precise ability to drive it in tight places. I mean, for stacking those bales on against that wall, for example, I have to reverse in, just because the fork and the bale stick out the front, so you can't drive forwards into that tighter space, but you can shuffle in. Could use crab steering for that if I thought about it at the time, but anyway, not really someone who's got much into crab steering as a thing. Please not slowing down. Okay, I think we've got 7,000 left in there, 4,000 in there, so we've got enough room. We can just empty that all off now. It's a done deal. That way I don't have to mess around with filling it and stopping it and starting it. It's now just going to be continuous production of crates until it's empty. Oh, that crate's not flat, not level. No, it is. That's good. There. Alrighty. As with anything, we're doing animals, so you really have to plan out their food. Animals in seasons, you have to make sure you completely plan out the food supply when you make the decision to do them, not halfway through. However, even after doing that, it's still there's a lot of guesswork involved, so you always want to overestimate how much food you're going to need. Because the last thing you want to do is be, mid-spring, oh, I've run out of sugar beets and I'm not going to have any more until early fall. And now my sheep aren't going to be healthy, they're not going to, or my cows or my horses or whatever, they're not going to be producing what I expect them to produce. And that's a bad thing, because if you're going to do animals, you need to make sure they're at close to optimum production, or you're going to end up sinking lots of money into them and not seeing a good return, or any return potentially. Especially if you start not feeding them anything and then they all die, that's going to be a loss that you really don't need to be entertaining. And missed. I really don't know how many people actually bother doing this. But, something I've done ever since not quite. I think my first sugar beet harvest I did this with every single sugar beet I took off the field, and that was a really, really, really bad idea. Which is why I now don't recommend you crate up sugar beets straight off the field in order to take them to the store to sell. Forwards. Forwards is good. But Although maybe if you're running a tiny farm. I mean, this farm is a little bit big for doing that, but if your fields are small, that you're only producing 50,000 litres of sugar beets off your fields in a year, then maybe you want to consider doing it this way. But frankly, I just dump them in a tipper and go that way. How many are we at? 5, 15, 30. Oh. I think the counting's correct. That's 35. And we had 12. So 7 more. Captain Zank, good morning, welcome to Saturday. You catch us storing up the food for the sheep for the coming year. And not having turned the collisions on our forks again. There we go. Oh, just don't do that. That's really stupid. Get off. Anyway, I think once this particular task is complete, which my estimate 6 more crates maybe, we will be probably taking a nap. Oops, too high. Yeah, it'll be end of the day and time to sleep. And then we'll be able to check on what's to do tomorrow. Okay. The other thing we know from Farming Simulator 22, if you want to get into production chains, we're going to be doing a lot more of this type of stuff. Now, it looks like the production chains are very much like the production units in Global Company, which is another thing. I've not really made much use of Global Company in my Farm Sim gameplay, but you know, the whole bring these things to this production facility and then it will produce something different. And I'm guessing that because all of that, you know, logic is embedded now within the game software, production will be a much easier thing for modders to incorporate, and should also be available for consoles as well, without them saying, oh, scripting is not allowed, because technically the production scripting is within the game. So you could create a factory that makes lemon meringue pie by taking, I don't know what, wheat and lemons and eggs and sugar, and that would be like producing strawberry cake, which is one of the production runs that is available in 22. Oops. I'll just drop that there. Yeah, I mean, with me, for the most part, I've not really gotten involved in production chains, although technically animals are a production chain. You know, oh, we're done. We're not done. 6,000 more litres. You know, bring grass produces wool or whatever. It kind of is a production chain. But, and again, I forgot to turn on the fork collision. And obviously there should be a benefit from leveraging production chains, like, well, I could sell my wheat, or I could make bread from it and get more income over the time, because bread's worth more than the constituent wheat that goes into it. And quite possibly, oops, that's not worked. There may be less variation on bread value over the course of a year than there is on wheat. I know it was suggested that wheat will sell at the highest price the year after seems to have got messed up for some reason. The year when you're just prior to harvest, that's the best price for the crop, is what they're suggesting. So let's say I take a look at what we have in seasons at the moment. With wheat, our best price is third day of winter, but harvest for wheat is round about here, which is the worst price. So yes, this is the worst price for wheat, but that's when you're just pulling it out of the field, so you don't make much money because everybody's harvesting their wheat at the same time and there is a glut of it. But the suggestion, and I don't know how accurate it is that maybe just before wheat is harvested, this might be the highest value on wheat, because it's almost all gone, and then tomorrow there's going to be a ton of it because we just harvested it. So which obviously, if you're trying to maximize your income, that's not going to work well for basically how I'm running this farm is, okay, the best time to sell wheat is the middle of winter, so sometime during the middle of winter I'm going to sell all my wheat, and then I'm going to be able to buy equipment and fields for the coming year. If the best time to sell my wheat is just before I harvest it next year, then that's going to make farm purchases, I'm basically sitting on my crop value for 12 months almost, or before I actually realise that income and you can use it. So it's going to change up farm, what's the word for it, finances a little. And I think even then we do have, I'll go back, I think sunflowers we're going to sell fairly soon. obviously. What was there? I'm sure there is one. See, that's good at the end of fall, but I thought there was one crop that was sort of spring. Was the better time to sell it? Maybe not. But yeah, wool is peak in spring, and then it stops being produced there. And milk's not so much. Oh, flat. Yeah, so hay pellets, we haven't established a price for hay pellets yet. At the end of the year. So 3,000. So 3 more crates after this one. But yeah, so yeah, for us, we're harvesting wheat in summer, we're harvesting sunflowers in fall, and we're sitting and waiting on that money until the middle of winter. But the middle of winter is not a bad time to sell stuff for us, because that's the time when most of the fields are fallow, and so that's the kind of the time I want to be thinking about buying new fields, when they're not, pre-planted with something. And the whole thing with precision farming, where I need to go and analyze the dirt and put lime down and fertilizer down, and it's too late because the crops are growing. I kind of don't want to mess with that. I prefer to buy a field with nothing in it, or nothing, it might have something in it but it's not growing yet, than I would to just take a field with a crop that's growing. That's working. But then equipment, having money in the bank just before harvest, that's kind of good, because if I wanted to upgrade my harvester, obviously I'm going to wait until spring until harvest time next year. So selling a crop just prior to harvest and then upgrading that equipment, that's probably a good thing. For us, I'm not really thinking, I've got to go out and buy a new harvester for next harvest, because it's going to be sitting in the garage for 9 months before I even get it out to use it. And then when we get to harvest time, I don't have enough money in the bank to actually buy one. So I said, well, I'm just going to have to wait till next year. Alright. And the last one, please. No? Is that it? Nope, that's the last one. Yay. Okay, so I think parking it there was a little bit temperamental, which is why I've had the issues.
I don't know what's in the bail. All I have to do is take him to the barn. No problem. I'll like 2 more loads. Finish my contract.
And drop that there. Oh, that's not a good thing. I'm about to make a big giant mess of that. Ooh. Okay, at least it's level. Let's go get the last one. And yay, task done. So I think next time we park that a little bit further away from the tree, so that we don't have to drive over the mound of dirt that's in the way. Alrighty. Yay. Sugar beets. Well. So now demerting to, yay, sheep food. Doink. Drop. Oh, that's all sorts of messed up. What the heck have I done there? Oh, I didn't put one at the top of that stack, so okay. So there's 2 extras, and that's... in real world physics would be tipping sugar beets all over the ground. Oh, didn't want to do that. Yeah, good job.